a notch.
G'day teachers and welcome to Take It Up a Notch. I'm Rach, your curriculum guide, here to help you connect tech to powerful learning.
And I'm Claire, your tech guru, ready to demystify the digital world for your classroom.
Well, today we're recording virtually. We're each at our own homes, and hopefully it's working okay because first I was glitching and now you're glitching, Claire.
No.
So we'll just hope that whatever cloud magic is happening, it is recording beautifully. Because listeners, we have been busy, and some of our episodes might be a little bit delayed. But I'm hopeful that our audience is very understanding because you're all in the same boat as us, busy working in your classrooms. And sometimes passion projects have to take a back seat to the beautiful people in front of you who need you, a little bit more during term time. So, yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So should we go straight to our listener question?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, I want to try an hour of code, but I'm worried it's too hard for my kindy kids. Is there a way of doing this that won't be a disaster? Thank you.
Well, Sarah, just don't do it with kindy. Is that terrible?
I don't think I would.
No, I wouldn't either.
Maybe 2 and up would give this a go with.
Yeah, and not necessarily because there are some really base level coding activities in there, but there's a lot of other skills that kids need to be able to even access the website. So,
yeah, signing in is the biggest hurdle, I find, especially if the devices you're using aren't very, like iPads and they're used to just scanning a QR code, but then they've still got to sign in. Might make it a bit, tricky.
Yeah, I think the only way if you really wanted to do it, and I feel like we've launched straight into solutions, but that's okay. I think the only way, Sarah, that you could do it if for some reason you had to do hour of code, say the whole school's doing an hour of code at the same time or something like that, would be to have a year 6 buddy sitting by their side.
Definitely.
So someone
I've done that.
Yeah, someone could just help walk them through because otherwise, oh goodness, you're going to need a Freddo after school or something to take the edge off. But let's talk a little bit more, Claire, about what the hour of code is so that people with kids who are, say, in year 2 and above can see if it's right for them.
Well, so today we thought we'd dive into hourofcode.org. It started as a global movement for computer science, but it's evolved into this powerhouse for AI and literacy for schools and teachers. And for teachers, it's a really great way to introduce computational thinking, and it can help tick off those digital technologies outcomes without needing to be a master coder yourself. So Hour of Code is a student-driven initiative by code.org, and it offers hundreds of 1-hour self-guided tutorials, and it's designed to demystify coding through high-interest themes such as Minecraft, Star Wars, and Dance Party.
How do the kids get onto it? So it's browser-based, or you can use it via apps for some specific tutorials. It's 100% free for all users, and it will work on any of the devices that you have in your hands, so iPads, Chromebooks, PCs, etc.
And what's good is you don't have to log in to use it. I've just shared the link with the students in my class on either Seesaw or Google Classroom, and they can click on the activity and then complete it. And my favorite one is the dance party one. I've used that many, many times. I find it's a really great first lesson to introduce students to what coding is. And what's great is now in the dance party one, there's an AI feature now where they get to click little emojis to create like a background out of that using AI. And it's a great way to introduce how AI works and how they can utilize that within coding for their own dance party. And it's great because it introduces the students to simple block coding, so how they can make decisions by dragging and clicking, and they've got that's a beautiful, satisfying click when they drop it in and it locks into place. And then what's also good is it's 10 levels, and each one it gets progressively harder as it goes on, and different blocks are introduced, and it's asking them to do different things, and they've got a little challenge each time. But then if they're finding it hard, they can click on the little light bulb and get a hint to help them. They put the thing and they press run, And if it does work, you get this little like sound. But if it doesn't, it sort of tells them, okay, go back and check something's missing. And it's a really nice way for the students to realize, oh, there's a break in my code. That's why it's not working. Problem solve. Let's go back and fix it.
Mm-hmm. And that debugging element, I'm sure we'll come to it later when we talk about the syllabus, but yeah, super useful because sometimes just the mental load of having lots of kids all coding something, say we're using a different platform, let's say we were just using Scratch or whatnot, or kids even with robotics, and then suddenly you're having to work your way around the classroom and debug in real time, 15, 20 different programs. That's a lot of thinking going on to that, right, where are you up to? What have you missed? Particularly in a curriculum area where people might not be as confident. It's sort of similar to if people had really complex algorithms in maths and somewhere in there's a mistake, takes you a little bit to find it. So if the computer can help you with that, that's a really wonderful thing for our teachers.
Yeah, and I find it's great if you've said it, and it does only take an hour. Some kids fly through it a bit quicker than that. But if they're all sort of on it at the same time, whenever there's a common problem, a lot of them are doing. I remember it's like level 4 when this green block gets introduced that doesn't connect. It's just like you have to press left and right arrow to make the dancer dance a certain way, the one that you've chosen, and it doesn't link in. And most kids get confused and don't press the arrow key when that's running to understand to run that. So I always stop everyone, model it, and then they come back together and can keep going. But what I like too is at the end, when you finished it, they get a little certificate. And they can put their name in it, and I get them to screenshot it and then upload it on Google Classroom or Seesaw, so they've got a little bit of evidence that they've done that thing. And some kids are so quick, they'll jump from that one, and then I'll set up Minecraft as the next one because that's a bit harder. So the kids who are really into it, they prefer like the challenging ones. So yeah.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of being able to have, so we've talked about how they can just jump in and do. They can go from a link. They don't have to worry about signing in or anything. But if you think that you're going to have kids that will want to continue on with it beyond just doing it for an hour, then you can have your teacher dashboard and set up with your kids so you can assign tasks. And so that's helpful because there are hundreds, I don't know, thousands, how many different, there's so many different little hours of code activities that you can do. So yeah, it's nice to be able to direct them to where you want them to go.
And I thought you can filter for an activity that's suitable. So for kindy or for the technology that you have, if it's iPad or tablet friendly or Android friendly, or even poor student internet friendly for low bandwidth environments, or if you want it for a particular topic, math, science, social studies, or language arts like English. And it actually even great for EALD learners because there's over 45 different language options available, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's good to know.
And what also too I've noticed this has really improved over the last few years of using it. Each of the major ones like Minecraft Dance Party and that AI for Oceans, remember we used it when we did that the sea activity, they all come with an educator guide now, and they've got lesson plans, slide decks, solutions like cheat sheets for them if they're finding it hard, and linking to the Akara Digital Technologies outcomes, which is really cool.
Oh, so even to our Australian ones?
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier about the hour of AI resources, so around 24, 25, they had like obviously there's that pivot to AI literacy. So now a lot of the lessons include an AI feature in it, such as AI for Oceans, and it uses AI to help you, like I was saying, customize your experience a little bit. And helps them sort of understand how it works as well.
I wonder if it was AI that made you know how now everything has teaching notes and everything has slide decks? That just, now you've said that, I'm like, ooh, I bet they've just AI'd all of that.
Maybe.
Maybe. Which is fine. But then for our teachers listening, you might also look at the resources with that lens, perhaps thinking, well, I'm not exactly sure who's made this. So you might have to do a bit of checking what's there before you go and launch it up on the screen in your class.
Yeah, for sure. But also there's unplugged options, which is good. So, for instance, if you are in a more remote area or like you're interested in like tech-free kind of days, the site has unplugged activity plans. So you can print off the PDF guides that teach students like computational thinking, like coding a friend to make a sandwich using any paper and markers. Or you can even batch print certificates as well to celebrate, or we just shared them digitally with their parents.
Claire, you've reminded me of my favourite unplugged game, and I'll tell everyone, and it's going to remind me to do it with my kids this year because I think they'll like it too. So you take everyone outside, and Kindy could do this. So for our question asker today, go and find a handball court, and you take a piece of chalk with you. And then depending on the level of your kids, you divide up the squares, so handball for us has 4 squares. So, I might divide it up so that each square has like 9 in it kind of thing. It depends on what age group you're working with. If I was working with kindy, I might just divide each of those 4 squares into quarters. And then one kid is like the robot, right? So you have a start square in the corner and they stand on the start square. And then they have to make a choice about where they're going, like into which square next to get to the finish line. So they've got to figure out which way the path goes, right? And so then they might take a step to the right. And I either say yes or no. And if it's a yes, they can continue and take another step. And if it's a no, they go to the back of the line. The next person has a turn. But then we don't record any of that. So everyone watching has to be keeping track of the program in their minds. So it's like, right, well, it's not the right square. I might take a step forward. And that gets me a yes. Now I take a step to the right. Does that work? No. The next person comes along. Right, I have to step forward. Right, doesn't work. I might step forward again. It's so much fun. I've played it heaps. And kids, they ask to do it over and over again because it's a good fun game. But
No, that's
full
awesome.
of good computational, like good ways to draw out that you're actually working on algorithm, thinking like a computer. Yeah, so for our original question, if I had kindies, that's maybe somewhere I would start with one of those unplugged activities.
Yeah, nice. Love that.
So one of the things that is fantastic about this, it reminds me a bit of Canva in that way, is that it's all free. So Hour of Code is a non-profit initiative. For Australian schools, this means that you can just jump on and use it whenever you need. What I was just going to mention is I think it would be really good for casual teachers. Because if you knew that your class had access to devices and you've turned up and for whatever reason there's no work left, I don't think that teachers should have to leave work if they're sick. I know most of us do, but for some reason, if you suddenly need an activity, this is going to be massive on engagement. It's something that you could think, right, I'm going to use a whole session here and we're just going to do coding activities and that would be okay.
100%. And
yeah,
I think
and because you can just give them the link, write the link on the board. You don't even need the Google Classroom. Yeah, so I think super handy for those last minute emergency kind of lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. And even at the end of the year, last year when I was teaching year 4, that was something that I thought, when you kind of, you've done everything,
you don't want to start anything new.
You've done your reporting and you're not ready for Christmas craft just yet. This was actually a lifesaver and it kept the kids busy and engaged for that time of year towards the end of the term when, it's just getting a little bit ready.
When motivation is low. Kids are gosh, I've even found this week just gone, the kids are frazzled. So
yes.
Yeah. Oh, poor kids. They work hard.
Well, one thing I will mention though, Rach, is if your school has really strict web filtering, make sure your IT department does whitelist this code doc or domain and YouTube, because some of the tutorials are embedded videos to explain the concepts. So sometimes you might not be able to access it. So you just got to, make sure it's an allowed website for your domain.
Well, does that perhaps bring us into pros and cons? Because that would be a bit of a con, only because IT departments can sometimes, you want to get that lesson done next week and they work on their own schedule. So that might be a bit of a con, perhaps. Maybe we'll start with any other cons.
Well, I guess it can be sort of seen as a one-off kind of thing or like a fun activity rather than a sustained curriculum thing.
Yes,
but like I've told you, I've embedded it as the beginning element of like lessons, like a unit of work on coding to get them used to it before I go into Scratch or using the Makey or even the Spheros for that matter, because that's block coding as well. So I like to not use it as just that for, say, 10 weeks because it would start to feel like more of just gaming or fun. For a lunchtime STEM club, absolutely, this would be perfect.
Yes.
But
totally
and
agree
like
with
a one-off lesson, one or two here or there. But yeah, I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't do it for the whole 10 weeks, like a
Whole
whole
term.
unit of work with just this.
You know where else it could be good? Sometimes they're quite themed. And so if you needed a launch
Mm.
event for a particular unit of work to build engagement and motivation with a new topic, if there was a matching one, particularly if they already had some of that background coding skill and you could just jump into a particular themed activity, that'd be good.
Yeah. And well,
Hmm.
look, the pros, it's incredibly high student engagement, those
Yep.
multimodal tutorials, unplugged lessons, and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Oh, I was going to say, this is interesting. So, code.org uses YouTube's no cookie service, which
mm,
prevents YouTube from tracking student data for advertising purposes. I
well,
didn't
that's
even know that
good.
was a thing. There you go.
Yeah.
Usually, no cookies would be a bad thing, but in this instance.
Mm. All
All
right,
right.
curriculum guru.
Curriculum guru. So I feel like we've addressed quite a few of these areas of curriculum before. It's coming in your science curriculum, looking at the digital tools and systems, and also in your ICT general capabilities. So the sorts of things that your kids might be doing if they engage in Hour of Code, of course, with such a huge variety of activities available. It'll depend on what you choose, but plenty of practice for our primary learners in terms of using different sequences and algorithms, and lots of visual programming language, which we've talked about before. And then some of the different words that you'll see in the syllabus, things like branching and iteration, will allow them to do that through the codes that they're building. So as they get a little bit older, the curriculum's asking kids to be able to implement and design digital solutions. And once you're in Hour of Code, if you're filtering it by age group, you're going to find that there's some that are building games or different storyboard activities that will allow them to have a digital solution for a problem, even if it's just a simulation of one. As they move up into high school, now I won't pretend that I've done anything with this personally because I don't work with high school kids at the moment. But what we want our high school kids to be doing is moving into a text based coding language. And from what I can see, Hour of Code does some bridge tutorials that allows students to toggle between the blocks and the JavaScript or Python, depending on what it's using, which a lot of them do. I know the robot we've got here at home, it does the same. And I'll often see my little learner, he's building with blocks, and next thing you know, he's toggled just out of curiosity to see what the text-based coding look like. So even if they're not really up to that, it's nice for kids to know, well, this is what's sitting behind these blocks. This is the language behind them. And then again, touching on AI literacy. So the syllabus hasn't really kept up with making understanding AI a priority. Of course, I don't think we need a new syllabus because my goodness, they come around too often. But I do think that teachers need to have it in their mind that we need to be teaching AI literacy. And so some of those Hour of AI activities could be useful for that, be it something they're learning in the library, be it something that they're learning particularly in stage 3 when they're looking in English at how to find sources of information. That could be really useful because while you're doing that learning, you should be touching on AI because the first thing they do when they Google search is to get an AI overview. They need to understand what that is. And so these tools will hopefully help them with that.
Yeah, nice. I guess moving on to differentiation, I think there's ways that you could differentiate the learning either using the unplugged ideas that we've shared. Even with EALD or non writers, some of the tutorials have audio instructions that you could
Hmm.
use. Or even after the students have finished, they could use a tool like Seesaw to take a screenshot of their coding and then record themselves explaining it rather than having to write it to show their understanding, which is really handy.
Also, because you might start with coding your name or start with the dance one. They're your entry level Hour of Code activities, but they increase in complexity. So some kids might take an hour to get that done, and other kids are already onto the third one, and it's
Yeah.
differentiated just through the availability of activities on the platform.
And that's exactly what I've done. Like I've always set the dance party one first, and then I'm like, after that, you can move on to the Minecraft one and have that link ready to go. And there's
Yeah.
3 different ones in the Minecraft one that they can do, and there's different levels of difficulty they can choose as well. So the kids that are quite good at it, they just want the hard, challenging one. So yeah, then I have had a boy complete like the dance party and then a Minecraft one in an hour. So yeah,
Wow.
having it
And
there
had
for them
he
to move on to.
Had he had previous experience, or he
Yeah,
just had
he
that
he
sort of,
does, like, he does coding stuff in the holidays, like those coding
yeah,
camps
code
or
camps?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which he enjoys, so, yeah.
Oh, good on him.
But what's good is too, in terms of differentiate, it is self-paced. They can utilize the hints to help them. I think it's just so good, and it's just a great way for them to understand how coding works in a great environment.
Yeah, and in a way that's really supportive of our teachers too. You don't have to make anything or do anything. It's there and ready to go.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, I think that's it really. So please, if you haven't, give it a go. Like, just look at it yourself, hourofcode.org, and then
Mhm.
have a bit of a play with some of the activities on there. Start with the dance party one and see how you go. Enjoy it and learn it yourself, and then become the teacher of it with your students. But in terms of that original question with kindergarten, search for some of them easier ones that are available on there.
Agreed. Yeah, if I was on
Yeah,
kindy, I would be starting unplugged, and then I'd be
yeah,
looking for something like a Bebot. If I didn't have the right, I have actual physical robots. Bebot has their online version that you can
yeah.
do the same coding just with little simulated Bebots. So that's where I would be leaning for our kindies. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, well, thank you
that, and
for,
it's not
listening.
in New South Wales. It's not in the kindy syllabus anymore anyway. So they don't have to be doing that sort of learning and thinking just yet. So yeah.
Which teachers I'm sure are happy about. I think kindy at my school, it's in term 1, and the teachers are still posting to Seesaw for them. So
Yeah.
they want me to come in and, just help them understand how they do it themselves, so that'll be a big step.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be
And I
good,
think the kindies at our school have a beautiful play-based approach, and they're busy learning with and about their new friends, and that's where we want the learning for
yeah, in
them,
term
of
1, that's what
course.
they
So
should be doing, that's
yeah,
right.
they can pretend to be a robot. Doo, 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 doo.
Cute. I am doing STEM with kindy in term 3, so we'll see what I get up to with them. But I've got
Oh,
year
you'll
1
have lots
next
of fun.
term.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to because this term I've had year 2 and year 3, and we've done Ozobots, and it is they are loving it. It's been so good.
So good.
So I want to try Ozobots just and they it's only I have 5 lessons with them, and,
Hmm.
I want them to do basically, the whole how it works, have a bit of a play with the codes, then the 3rd and 4th lesson is creating a story map with it, and then we're
Yep.
filming it on Seesaw, and, I'm going to attempt it with year 1 next term. I think they'll be okay. The biggest thing is physically I'm finding the fine motor of colouring in the squares of
Uh-huh.
the codes right.
Yep.
Some kids are finding that hard. Even drawing the black line, even though the textures are so good now, there's a
Yep.
thick side and a thin side. But yeah. Anyway, we're off
Oh,
topic,
I'll
but yeah.
tell you and all our listeners what we've been doing. We've just started tech-wise because there's the big push towards reading fluency, but stage 3 don't, well, they've got a little bit of reading fluency as part of an outcome, but it's not a whole outcome like it might be for the rest of the school. And so to continue practicing reading fluency, but to have a different lens, we're making ebooks. And so
Oh,
each of the kids has
cute.
chosen a book that they want to perform as an ebook, you know, voice actor kind of thing.
Oh,
And
I
they're practicing,
love
practicing. And then we're going to record in the classroom. We'll see how that goes. I'm
that.
going to have to bring in my trusty microphone. Hopefully it'll work. So in my mind, I'll put them in a Google Drive folder and put a QR code inside each book so that then other grades can borrow the books and just scan and listen to someone else reading it.
Yeah, what a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, it's a good idea
I just
now. When I'm actually editing 40 ebooks, I might change my
Look,
mind.
it's a bit of a step up from I've done the IC book with Kindy on Book Creator before, and then they've
Mhm.
shared it on Seesaw where they just do I see a bird, and they draw a picture. Like,
Yep.
but just understand, I think, yeah, that's probably what I'll do for STEM with them in
Oh, yeah,
term
that's
3, something
plenty.
simple like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
beautiful.
getting to learn how to use the iPad a bit more, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But no, thank you everyone for listening. And please, yeah, as we said, head to Hour of Code to pick a tutorial to try. Please follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Our email is takeitupanotchau@gmail.com. Please send us any suggestions, any questions that you might have.
Mhm.
We've got a huge list of future episodes we keep adding to and changing. So please reach out. And then we do have our magnets to give to people that do ask us some questions. So, yeah.
Yep. Let us know if you want one with a question. All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your term, or I don't know, it might be term 2 by the time I post this. I've been so slow. Sorry, listeners. But enjoy whatever you're doing today, and we will see you next time on
Take It Up a Notch.
We will see you next time on
Take it
Take
up.
It Up a Notch.
That didn't work.
Didn't it? It looked good from my end.
I said you said it, then I said it.
Oh, should we try again? Oh, 1, 2,
Ready?
3.
Take
Take
it up
it up a notch. We'll see.